Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Well, we've made it through 2 solid months of our weekday morning talk show, Barnstable This Morning, and the quality of our discussions with town and state officials has never been better. We begin our look back on this week with a portion of our Monday, February 22nd episode, where Barnstable School Superintendent Dr. Patricia Grenier gave us an update on the search for a successor to outgoing Barnstable High School principal Pat Graves. First of all, can you tell us who the finalists are?
I'd be happy to do that. Dr. John Micah, who is the current assistant principal of Barnstable High School, is one of the finalists.
Okay.
Dr. James Demers, who's the assistant principal of Falmouth High School, and Patrick Clark, who is the principal of Wareham High School.
Well, I'm curious to hear, based on all the things that you've heard from teachers, parents, students, and so on, what the prototypical BHS principal candidate would be, based on that composite that you've created.
Oh, that's such a great question. Thank you for that. People want someone who has a vision for Barnstable High School, and people are excited that Barnstable High School is one of the premier high schools on Cape Cod. It offers such a plethora of educational opportunities for kids. It offers the diversity. It really is a high school that has immense potential over and above where it already is, and the staff want a leader who has that vision and who will work with them to say, kids are evolving, 21st century technology skills, we're educating kids for jobs that we don't even know what they are potentially. And so we want someone who's vibrant, who's committed, and this may be the part about the Cape that's the appeal to the local candidate. They want someone who's going to be involved.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to be at all the events, who's going to be a part of the community, who respects the role that the education system plays in the town of Barnstable.
Well, that certainly sounds like a great candidate, and I'm sure that the 3 finalists that you have, it's probably going to be a tough decision between all of them. Dr. Grenier later told us that she expects to choose the next BHS principal sometime next week. On to Tuesday, February 23rd, when we discussed with Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce CEO Wendy Northcross the prospect of a new season of work on the Sagamore Bridge, which could begin as early as Monday, March 1st. Northcross told us that lessons have been learned from the traffic tie-ups last fall, and that discussions about long-term changes to how people get on and off Cape are already underway.
Well, bottom line, the Army Corps has a much higher sensitivity now to the length of time they give notice before a project starts, and to really sitting down with the community and talking about some of the impacts and not just heading out to the bridge with a contractor to do the work. The work that they did last fall was really significant, and they have to finish it up this spring, but it wasn't like some of the work that we've been used to in the last several years, which was an inconvenience, but it didn't literally restrict the travel lanes to the point that we saw last year. So now the Army Corps is highly, highly sensitized. They're getting way out in advance, and they're telling us that the work might start as early as March 1st. And what's great about that is I don't think that if we had skipped some of these conversations and studies last fall, I don't think they would be starting March 1st. I think they'd be looking at April to start. But now they know they got to get it done quick. They got to get it done when the traffic counts are at its lowest, which really is in March into April. So that's the good thing. The other thing is we really had that long-term conversation about these, the poor ladies that are our bridges are going to need facelifts pretty constantly now. And so how do we manage future construction projects? And what about a third bridge? How can we get resources for either activating the railroad more actively over the existing third bridge or build a third bridge for automobile and truck traffic?
Later on our Tuesday show, Barnstable Police Chief Paul McDonald took us inside the nearly 2-month-long investigation that led to the arrest of 29-year-old Joshua Law of South Yarmouth, otherwise known as the Backwards Hoodie Bandit, who allegedly robbed 5 banks across the Cape since the new year, including 2 in Barnstable.
There were a total of 7 police agencies involved in this, and our big break occurred last week, after the sandwich robbery, where there was a witness who got a pretty good description, not of the suspect, but of the vehicle.
Okay.
Once we developed the vehicle and once we were located and all 7 departments get together, they all had little pieces, and once they all got together, they put the pieces together, they come up with a pretty good picture, and then within 24 hours they were able to come up with the suspect and the vehicle. And at that time, the decision was made, we have enough on the vehicle, but we still do not have enough to make an arrest, and we certainly do not have enough to get a conviction in court. So a decision was made. We were going to put around-the-clock 24-hour surveillance on this individual. Now, obviously, tailing somebody for that time length, it takes a little bit of skill. And they used some sophisticated surveillance techniques, literally 24 hours a day, and it really paid off come Sunday morning when they actually, the bank robbery occurred in progress, and the police were right there.
With the 5 robberies over almost 2 months' time, what was the difficulty in catching him? I guess the question is, why wasn't he able to be caught quicker?
He was very clever. I mean, you got to give him credit for his disguise. I mean, the backwoods hoodie bandit. I mean, it sounds foolish, but
it looks foolish.
There was no physical evidence there. We had great video of him coming and going, but he was literally covered from head to toe. He was very careful not to touch anything. He always wore gloves. He kept his mouth shut. And if you look at his record, he had virtually no criminal record. So that made it extremely difficult.
A comprehensive anti-bullying bill is expected to be taken up on the floor of the state Senate in the coming week. And on Thursday, February 25th, we asked State Senator Rob O'Leary about why the time is right for such a bill and how this bill will help to curb bullying in our schools.
I mean, this is an issue that's been around for ages, really, but it's taken on a new character with the Internet and cyberbullying and Facebook, and just all of that is now really making this situation a lot worse, and people feel we need to do something. And so this bill that my committee reported out is frankly an important step, I think, in trying to deal with the issue.
Yeah. Now, Senator, you mentioned that your committee reported this out, and I was told earlier on that there were over 20 anti-bullying bills that were kind of on the table at the same time. And considering that you were, right there trying to put this comprehensive bill together, which is what we have now, can you talk to us about the process of what made it in and what didn't?
Well, I mean, we tried to write the strongest bill we could. And one of the issues that cropped up was, the issues of the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, the ability of people to communicate, and the extent to which government could interfere in that, and so there was a balancing act that had to be put in place, and then there were the concerns by school officials about mandates and requirements applied to schools, and we had to sort of consider those concerns as well. But in the end, I think the emphasis was on requiring schools to put together a plan, requiring people in schools to report incidents that occur, and frankly requiring schools to do something about it, because one of the complaints we heard regularly is that people would approach school officials about this, and in some cases they responded, and in others they simply didn't. And so now there really is a requirement that the schools do something. And then beyond that, the whole business of cyberbullying, in which kids are, going after other children and through the Internet, and that process impacting on what plays out on the school. We had to get a grip on that issue, and we tried to do this in the bill.
To view these complete episodes of Barnstable This Morning anytime, just log on to the town's website, town.barnstable.ma.us, and click on the Barnstable This Morning Archives link. Well, that's all for now. Everybody have a great weekend. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.